Hello. In this recording from our Justia webinar, Law Firm Content for SEO, Justia CEO Tim Stanley provides an overview of SEO, covers Google's search quality rating guidelines, and offers practical tips and strategies to improve your law firm website content writing that will help you improve and enhance your presence in Google search results. If you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
I will share my screen and we'll sort of begin. Okay, so I'm going to run through search engine optimization for law firms. Sort of the key thing that we'll be focused on here. And we have a lot of folks that at Justia that work on content, work on different technical SEO aspects. So a lot of engineers. And so what I'm going to try to do is sort of take what our own internal discussions are for folks when we're sort of meeting and training people up, is sort of share it out with everybody, clients and non-clients alike. It's relatively long, so to really run through search engine optimization would take at least 3 hours, maybe a little bit longer even. So we are going to break this up into different parts. Today, I'm going to do a quick introduction of search engine optimization, just so you have a basic idea of what we're trying to do here, which is the organic free search results in Google. And then I'm going to run through content, and that's basically sort of what law firms should do to both write content and optimize their content so they can show up higher in Google. We'll then have a second webinar in a month or so that will cover citations and links, which I know a lot of people are always interested in. How should I get my site linked up? How should I, what sort of words should I use to have my site linked? As well as different types of content that might actually help you gain more links. So I'll bring up a little bit of a little additional content suggestions for getting links as well. And then we'll have a third webinar on technical SEO, which will be more on sort of the bread and butter, back end stuff that you need to do for your website. It needs to be secure, needs to be fast. Some of the different things Google has introduced in terms of looking at sort of the user experience and things like that. So without any sort of further ado, let's sort of begin this. So for the introduction, I'm going to run through three different items here. First, I want to look at the Google search engine result pages. It's basically, look at what Google's showing you, give you an idea of what we're trying to do in terms of where we want to show up, and sort of get sort of the sort of core focus on and sort of the different places in Google that you actually can rank for. I'll do a little bit of discussion on organic rankings, and just relatively quickly, some of it will be covered in the first part as well. And then I'll give some initial resources for you all to check out. Just really good, solid resources. So I'll give you a nice overview of search engine optimization, as well as a few tools as well. So first, we all know Google. This will be our focus. Most of the stuff that we mentioned for Google will also apply to Bing and DuckDuckGo and some of the other smaller search engines that are out there. But realistically, you should focus on Google. This will be the vast majority of your traffic. If you've got your site fully optimized, at least half your traffic, probably 70-80% of your traffic is coming from Google organic search. So this is what we'll be focusing on today. So first, here is a Google search results page. Right, so just Roundup lawsuit was my search query here. And you'll see here at the very top, we have some ads. Roundup's involved with quite a bit of litigation right now, and Google is selling ads to make some money. And then we have underneath that, the organic search results. So here's an organic search result here. Here's a few more under a little bit lower on the page. And then we have some people also ask section, sort of a question and answer section. All of this is organic. So all the folks that are showing up either as a listing or as someone who answered a question, or a website that's answered a question, are not paying money to Google. They're showing up for free, and they're ranking decently high organically right here. Here's another Google search result page. On this one, we have some Google local services ads up at the top. We then have organic result. We have another organic result. We have the people also ask. And we have the maps themselves, which also are tied into Google organic rankings. So this one's a service search for Boston criminal lawyer. if you sort of go, if you sort of look through what you're trying to do in terms of the rankings, everything that you do in terms of the content, in terms of your links, in terms of your technical SEO, will help you rank higher on the organic search as well as the maps. So one of the things I want to make sure folks understand is that even though the maps include other items like your location, how close you are to the person that's searching, your reviews, are you above a 4.5? That's sort of the key metric right there, the number of reviews you have. You should shoot for like 40 reviews or so. But also your organic presence will actually impact how you're ranking on the maps. Here's another search result. Here's Boston Truck Accident Lawyer. Every single one of these is tied into organic on this one. While Google runs ads many times, they're not always running ads. So sometimes even for basic core searches like Boston Truck Accident Lawyer in this case, no ads are showing up. So actually the organic ones are getting the first cut of the apple, first bite of the apple. I wanted to show one thing in particular here on this Google Maps result. If I zoom in on this one, you'll see that it mentions that their website, it says that their website mentions truck accident attorney. So this is relatively important because for a lot of these searches, if you want to show up in Google Maps, you need to have that if you have that content on your website, it can actually help you. So for the basic ones like personal injury attorney, criminal justice lawyer, items like that, those are classified by Google for the Google business profiles. So showing up in the maps and is fine. But for some of the sub areas, truck accidents, motorcycle accidents, slip and fall, right? For those, you actually want to have the content on your website to sort of reinforce your rankings for those particular terms. The other part I want to show that Google's done a lot recently here is focusing on these featured snippets. So here's a featured snippet here. Here's another part where people also ask, and here's some more organic results. So this one was for the California statute of limitations for personal injury. So Google has done a lot to try to get people to stay on Google. So one of the things they've done is they've gone through website pages and they've tried to find the answers to the question or to the query that someone's asking and actually feature that right on the Google search result page. In fact, it's worked out pretty well. A lot of people stay on Google, then they might do another search on Google. That said, if you have the opportunity to be the featured snippet, you're going to get a lot more clicks. It's really outstanding in terms of the amount of traffic you can get. So as you're sort of working through different items here, and trying to sort of do, sort of make a feature snippet, what I would suggest is to have questions and answers on different pages of your website. And there's ways to mark that up with schema markup, which I will cover at a later webinar, but I'll give you a resource in case you want to take a look at that earlier. And then look at what other people asked in the people asked section, look what other feature snippets show up, and then try to write a better answer. So just spend some time and really think about how your answer could be better. Try to get it in maybe 2 or 3 sentences. But the featured snippet opportunity for law firms is wide open. So there's a few folks that are looking, sort of studying it and trying to get that going, but most law firms have not thought about that at all. And there's a lot of opportunity there. So I would encourage everyone to do questions and answers on your site. Those tend to be the ones that get picked up as this featured snippet the most. And normally it is, what is this? This is that. And that's basically what is the statute of limitations? How are damages calculated? Damages are calculated. It's A, B type of approach. Very, very straightforward, but a lot of opportunity for law firms in this area. And right there, you see about feature snippets, and it'll sort of describe, if you click in there, what Google sort of does. Another thing I wanted to point about the Google search page organic listings in particular is that a lot of law is localized. So here I just did a basic search on shoplifting. Didn't say in California, didn't say Mountain View or San Jose or anything, just typed in shoplifting. And here's the first page, and I have a dictionary entry and some photos from Wikipedia. And if I click that a little bit further, I go to the second page. All of this content has been localized for me. So a lot of the basic search terms, especially involving law, they will find information that relates to that is localized to my state, sometimes localized to my city or even smaller location, even like a neighborhood sometimes. So this is just something to note. So as you're doing searches and you're talking to your friends that are across the country, they might see very different results than you. You need to look at what your IP address is and look at where your physical location is. Might be by IP, it might be through your GPS if you're on your phone. And that will play a part into how you're ranking organically within Google. Here's another one for incorporation. Very straightforward term. It's giving me the Secretary of State's office in California. If I was in Nevada, I'd get Nevada. If I was in New York, I'd get New York. If I was in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, I'd get Alabama. So localized search results in the organic, in the organic placements, is really taken over law, probably in the last 5-6 years. And then here's another one. This is for services, right? And for services, I just typed in criminal lawyer. Okay, well, I'm getting some Google ads. These are obviously localized up a bit. This is another ad. This has been localized. This a lawyer in Salinas. These are different lawyers in San Jose. All right, that's fine. It's all localized. If I go to the next page, all of these listings have been localized for San Jose. So I have, some law firms. I have Justia, I have FindLaw here. I have Yelp. Go way down at the bottom, you'll see expertise sort of popping up there. Services themselves tend to get localized by Google. So if you type in just criminal lawyer, personal injury lawyer, business lawyer, the results you get will tend to be localized, normally to the city that you're located in. One side note on this part, I know a lot of people in the past used to try to say like criminal lawyer near me, because that was like an autocomplete and they thought they would somehow show up more often if they put near me. You don't need to do that. Google is totally discounting that out altogether. So having the words near me now, gone. So don't waste your time doing something like that. It's not going to be helpful to you. So anyways, the main thing I wanted to show here is that, the Google search results, especially the organic search, involves the basic listings. It involves featured snippets. It involves the questions and answers, and it involves the Google business profiles or the Google Maps, showing up there. And so there's a lot of opportunity on organic that I think folks can take advantage of if they approach it systematically and they write good content. So we saw a bunch of different examples, and from here I'll show you a couple other items and just show you what you can do if you sort of fall through things systematically. So organic rankings, I'm just going to show you a couple examples. So here I put in Boston truck accident lawyer. This is Breakstone White. It's one of our clients. Jeffrey Glassman, one of our clients. Altman & Altman, one of our clients. Every single one of these folks tries to write good content, focuses on their content, and does a good job. And they do it systematically. So I would say that for lots of different searches, I know, especially if you want to show up for lots of different terms, you need to take the time to sort of really work on your content. And if you follow some of the instructions I give today, this will work out great for you. It's just writing. It's not too hard. All right. So what sort of ties into organic rankings? All right. So first, like as we'll be discussing today, is content. The second is citations. These tend to be links to your site. Also for Google business profiles and Google Maps, it'll be the citations that you have, right, in different yellow page or different business directories. And then the technical SEO, which is basically your website itself. How fast is it? Is it secure? Do you have the different schema markup and things like that you need to have? So obviously today we're talking about content, and the next one will be citations. The final one will be the technical SEO. This is also the order of importance to Google. So Google, what they care about the most is content. If Google had to choose between picking a page that had the best content on it and picking a page that had a bunch of links or was like on the fastest, best server, they would go with the best content. That is the number one thing they're trying to do. Citations, links, they got a whole world of people trying to manipulate that. They're fighting against that all the time, right? Technical SEO, I mean, you need to hit a certain level to rank well. If you're faster, better, right? It's always better. Make AMP pages, do different things like that to make your site very, very fast. But if your content's a lot better, they're willing to forgive some of the technical SEO aspects. If your content's a lot better, it doesn't necessarily have as many links. So there's nothing as important as content in terms of what you do. If your content's bad, you will be punished, especially if you're writing legal content. And we'll sort of walk into that in just a few moments. So this should give you sort of the basic overview of what you should focus on. And I think at a base level, content, there's nothing more important than that. Okay, let me run through a few resources here. And this is just stuff I'll probably give a few resources on each of these talks, but I just want to give you a few just sort of to give you some things to check out and read, especially before the next few webinars. All right. First one, search engine land. If there's one website that you should bookmark and check out, it's search engine land. It's founded by Danny Sullivan, who's now Google's search liaison. It always has great information. It has updates, very good articles. A lot of the articles are also about law. You'll find a bunch of legal examples in here. It does not get caught up in the conspiracy theory stuff. So in the SEO world, there's lots of different conspiracy things going on. If you're on the message boards and stuff, it's wild, right? There's a new update, something's happened. This will focus you in on what really matters. So this would be the number one place that I bookmark. They have a nice little section about what is SEO and an overview of it. And if you go there, there's a guide to SEO. So I would go ahead and I would take a look at this guide and read it. It's not very long. 9 chapters. You could read it in an afternoon. Not super technical. It's very well written, and it sort of will cover sort of the core elements that you need to know. So one site, give a few other resources here. No one site I look at is search engine land. All right. Google has some tools, and they have different tools that you can get testing on and certifications on that you'll always want to use for your website. One is analytics. Almost every law firm uses Google Analytics to look at their traffic. Not going to say Google Analytics is perfect. There's sometimes issues, sometimes like fake traffic that shows up in it. But you should learn analytics, and you should ideally take a course in it, get your own personal certification on it. It's not too hard. You watch some videos, you take a test. But if you do that, you'll have a very good understanding of what Google Analytics is and what it does tell you. So you probably already have this on your website. You should understand it. The other one is Google Search Console. This is a tool that Google gives all websites, and it'll give you a good idea how your website is appearing within Google, as well as how users are seeing your website and how they're approaching it. Is it fast? Does it have good usability? There's a lot of data here in Google Search Console. And it's different analytics. Analytics is when they land on your site. It's going to tell you, here's my traffic. Here's the path they went through my site. They click from here to here, different things like that. Google Search Console will also tell you how you're doing in the Google search, right? It'll give you a set of your backlinks that Google sees, right? People like to look at their backlinks. If you're doing something wrong, it'll give you a warning. They'll alert you that you're being punished. You should certainly, though, go in and make sure that you have access to your Google Search Console. Go in and make sure you've claimed it, claimed your domain, everything like that. Either set a DNS entry or put some extra text on your homepage to claim a Google Search Console account, and look into it and just see sort of where's the traffic coming from, what words are being searched on, right? Some of that stuff you can't get from analytics, but you can get from Google Search Console. So those two together, from a tool standpoint, are sort of the bread and butter things you should look at. And that's what Google sees, right? This is from Google. It's not third-party tools, which I'll bring up in a few moments. Google also has some other information services out there. One is on their developers channel. They have Google Search Central. Lots of articles, lots of FAQs, lots of instructions on what to do. you should go take a look at it. It's really, really good. And there's even like community places that you can ask questions as well. And they also have a blog, which gets updated. They used to have monthly questions and answers with John Mueller, but they're cutting that, or weekly questions and answers, cutting that back to once a month. But you can also ask Google questions directly if you'd like to, and they will answer some of the questions. I'm not going to say they'll answer all the questions, but there's a lot of things Google's trying to do to reach out to the webmaster community that you all should take advantage of. So you should go to Google Search Central, take a look at it, go take a look at the blog and see if you want to participate, ask some questions and some different things like that. It's very, very helpful. Then there's 3 tools that I want to bring up for folks that want a little bit more sort of, I don't know, additional access to data for their search engine optimization. One is SEMrush. Does a great job in terms of looking at backlinks. It'll give you some different ideas in terms of what you might want to do in terms of your content, different items like that, in terms of even your own internal cross-linking and things. It's quite good. You should realize that this tool, as well as the other 2 that I'm about to mention, they're a little bit more generic. So sometimes they'll be saying, this website's worth a lot more than this website. Well, realistically, legal websites matter a lot more to you, not necessarily YouTube, right, in terms of different items. But it's a very good sort of tool set they have and a very good service. The other things that's great about SEMrush, as well as the other tool I'm about to bring up, it's if you're looking for places to get links, you want to get citations, here's a place you can go look at your competitors. So Google Search Console, where you can see your links to yourself there, that's just to you. With these tools, you can actually see what your competitors are doing. And I'll bring that up more in the next webinar in terms of how to use these tools. But if you want to go in right now, this is a great one to use. And if I picked one, I'd pick SEMrush. The second one is Ahrefs. Again, great sort of set of way of looking at backlinks and different things. Quite good. They have some additional tools that you can play with in terms of your content, different items. It's really quite good. So, if I wanted a secondary one, I'd add Ahrefs. And the third one I take a look at is Moz. Moz has a little bit more of a community aspect. Also another tool to look at backlinks and sort of compare your site with other websites. But all 3 together, this is sort of the core ones that most people use. There's probably, another, 10 different tools that we're subscribed to of different types to take a look at different things. So if you really want to, get more access to more data, some are good at certain things, not good at other items. But if you use these 3 tools, you're like 95% of the way there. So, combined with Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So these are 3 that I recommend in terms of usage. So with that, hopefully I've given a basic overview of the Google search result pages, of the free organic stuff, a little bit about the rankings, which we're now going to cover on the content part, and some tools and resources for you to use. And with that, we're going to move on to content. Okay. Content itself for law firm websites, there's a few sort of basic types of pages you have. Can they have a home page, right? Most important page of your website. Attorney profiles. The second most important page of your website, and one that most law firms don't spend a lot of time on. I mean, large law firms do, but most of the smaller consumer firms spend very little time on their attorney profiles. So it's a big mistake. Practice area pages. This tends to be your bread and butter type marketing pages, car accidents, truck accidents, maybe distracted driving car accidents. You can sort of go into sub pages on different items. This is the bread and butter that most people focus on when they're thinking of search engine optimization. And then just other pages. Could be blog posts, could be articles, could be a testimonial page. Just other pages on your site, about the law firm pages, in the community type pages, things that you're doing in the community. Not necessarily as important in terms of search engine optimization, but sometimes can be. Sometimes you can write articles that will show up and rank well in Google. All right. Let's sort of go through initially what you want to focus on in terms of basically your core search engine optimization for your homepage and at least your practice area pages in particular. All right. Few different items. First one, the locality. You should know what cities you want to focus on. probably the major city for most folks. Sometimes smaller cities, if you're doing like estate planning or certain areas that you want certain communities that you want to focus on. Sometimes it's state level, things like employment. State searches are bigger. Workers' comp state searches are bigger than city searches in terms of when people are looking for information. Some are national in scope, actually, like visa, patent law, different items like that. Counties, criminal law, sometimes probate, you need to get a county focus. So the main thing here is you look at your practice and you need to sort of figure out what localities you want to sort of work into your content. And so for some, just be the cities. But for other areas, you need to think it through. How am I going to get the state involved or somehow get a county involved, especially for things, again, like probate and criminal law. Some work great. When you're doing New York, it's New York State, New York City, doesn't get more New York than that. I mean, that one's like almost perfect. Very competitive. A lot of people focusing just on New York, but doable. I mean, if and it does sort of tie in. The legal practice. So this is basically your practice terms, right? Child custody, child support, car accidents, family law, criminal law, probate, special needs trust. Basically, go to your core practice and start breaking down all the types of cases that you would want. If you're doing visas, you'd break down all the different types of visas. You wouldn't just say, I help you with visas or family visas and business visas. Also break it down, right? H-1Bs, investment visas. There's a bunch of different types. K-1 visas, K-3 visas, other types of family visas, some for athletes, different things like that. And then also have parts about green cards and different types of naturalization. And then you might also do some criminal defense work that ties in with deportation defense. This focusing on your different, practice areas is really something that, you should really sort of take some time and sort of list everything out. I will give you an idea for like criminal law. You might want to go through the whole criminal code for the state and write a page on every single part of the criminal code, right? It might be a couple hundred pages. Personal injury, I can tell you right now, there's like 500-600 different pages you could write on different areas of law. Some are, sort of sub areas, pharmacy misfills, things like that you might not normally think of that actually lead to cases. Roundup was an example that we did a search of earlier, some of the different products, but also highway design, tends to be an issue with car accidents. There's a lot of different areas. The key thing here is you don't need to write them all. Write the ones that get you cases and start general and then dig in, right? So do family law, then do adoption, and then you might do international adoption, right? Same thing with child custody. You might have basic child custody, then you might have, different types of visitation rights and different family sort of sharing programs, so the child sort of time sharing type of things that work out. Think about what you want, your core cases, to break it down. But ideally, you keep adding more and more content into it, and it all ties in together, and your site becomes more of like a mini portal, if you want to think of it that way, for your particular area of practice. And the final one is working the words like lawyer, attorney, lawyers, attorneys, law firm. You've got to add these words in if you want to rank for the service searches, which are very valuable searches, right? The ones they type in, you're a criminal lawyer, I got to type in, Mountain View probate attorney, Santa Clara County probate attorney, California employment lawyer. If you want to get these basic, to show up in these basic searches, you need to work those words into your page. So nothing super crazy about it. And then one thing I do want to bring up, though, is that you don't have to use the exact same term over and over again. Break it up a bit. Use different terms at different times. So use Boston truck accident lawyer, big rig accident attorney in Boston, mix it up. All this, Google's very good at associating these words. You can have the word lawyer and attorney, and they'll associate them as the same thing. Well, your rankings might change a little bit on one word, but it's not going to change much, and you're going to get credit for using attorney. You'll get credit for the word lawyer. Same thing. Truck accident, trucking injury, big rig accident. This will all be tied in by Google. So it'll all be sort of fine on that part. If you use the exact same term over and over again, though, you might overdo it. It'll start looking really spammy. And one day you might wake up and you're not ranking for that term. We've had clients that took the same term and put it over and over and over again. It's like baby aspirin. They took one, they took two, and they said, this is great. I'm going to keep doing it. and all of a sudden, they weren't anywhere. They weren't in the top 10 pages for that term. They ranked for other search terms. Their site wasn't being punished, but they had over-optimized their site for that particular term. That does not tend to happen if you're doing these modifications of the words. So do a little bit of modification there. High quality original legal content. This is what you need to write. So this is what you're going to write. This is what you need to do, though. And you need to do it this part because this is what Google wants, especially for legal websites, especially for law firm websites, especially for legal content. All right. If you go onto Google, you'll find this statement there. It says, in Google's mission to organize the world's information, we want to guide Google users to the highest quality content. All right. Let me make sure you understand this. They want users to get to the best content. They want them to get to the best content more than they want them to get to the content with the most links, more than they want them to get to the fastest website, right? They want them to get to the best content. That is the number one thing Google wants. If the content isn't as good, people might start using Bing. So this is a big thing. They've had the Panda updates. They spent a lot of time trying to sort of deal with these other aspects to get people to the best content. And that principle is in their quality rater guidelines. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about, the search quality rating guidelines. So Google has testers. I'm sure you're not surprised by that. These are people that do Google searches, and then they go through and they rate the searches, right? They say, is this a good result? Is this not a good result? And they do all types of stuff. It's whether it's the content's correct, whether it's helpful. They'll look at whether it's duplicate content. They'll even look at locality stuff. There's a lot of little details on it. But the main thing is that they're looking through and they're looking to find quality content that they feel sort of meet the standards Google wants to rank high in the organic results, right? You want to just rank up, go buy a link. You could buy, could do a Google ads. You could buy a placement there for the Google ads. Even that they want to match up with they have quality scores that they want to sort of match up with the searching. But you could purchase that. Organically, you really need to compete on the quality of your content. So that's something to really think about. The good news is it's wide open for law for the most part. There's some competition, but it's not nearly as competitive as you might think. But there's the search quality ratings guidelines. It is 172 pages. It's a PDF file. You can get it online. You can actually read it. If you want to read the whole guidelines, like I've read, it's great. There's a lot of detail in there. But it's long. So I'm going to try to get us focused on the stuff that sort of matters to law firms. So what matters to law firms? You could read through the whole thing later. I'll give you the link in just a bit. What matters to law firms, one, is that law is a your money or your life type of issue in terms of searches. So your money or life ones are ones that, impact people's lives, impact how they live, financial issues, and I'll run through that a little bit. But law is right in the middle of this. They have the highest standards for content for this type of thing. This is more than just, hey, here's a collection, here are my photos from my vacation. That one, maybe the quality doesn't matter. It doesn't, it's just pictures, right? And describing the beach. Maybe I used the wrong words to describe the beach. Not probably anything that happened. With law, you have the wrong legal information up. That's a big deal. So that's the first thing about it. The second thing is this EAT, which is the expertise of the writer, which can be the law firm, the authoritativeness of the writer website. Again, tends to be the law firm website, the trustworthiness of the writer of the website. For most law firms, this is easy, right? This is just, is my website trustworthy, right? Who am I? The credentials and things like that. What I would say is that if you want to score higher on the EAT, one, just being a lawyer in law firm is helpful. It gets you like 80% of the way there. But put up your credentials, have a good about page or good attorney profiles, sort of show what your expertise is so that when Google sort of look at your website and sort of judging it, they could sort of say, okay, this is this law firm. These are their lawyers. These lawyers are members of the bar. Some of these guys have awards and, different, different expertise that they've shown. They have certain trials that they're featuring in their blog posts and things. Show your expertise on your website. But for the most part, this is easy. The EAT part's easy for law firms. You don't have to worry a lot about it, but make sure that have your credentials and present yourself in your best light. You should do that anyways. That's how you get clients. But it also help you with Google. And the last part is beneficial purpose. for the most part, this is straightforward. When you're writing legal content, you're putting stuff up there, you're trying to help people, right? Maybe some of the help is, hey, call me, I'll help you, right? That might be part of it. But it's, again, not for law firm websites, not too big a deal. But your money or your life is the big deal here. And here's sort of a clip and copy from the search quality guidelines. Let's sort of go into the parts that matter. First, it sort of mentions what the topics are for your money or life. This is really key to Google. And it mentions law and mentions legal issues. All right. So this isn't just me saying it. This is on the search quality ratings guidelines. They have pulled law out specifically to say, we really care about the quality of the content for law. All right. Not a movie review site, not something else. This is law. You got to have quality content. I don't know how else to say it. That if there's nothing else you get from this talk, take your content seriously. Don't treat it as a pure commodity. It actually matters a lot for Google. And it says they have very high page quality rating standards for these your money or life pages, right? So this is Google saying this, not just me. They eat for the authoritativeness, trustworthiness, and expertise. That also matters a lot. Again, I think this is easy for law firms to do, but show your credentials on your site, and that will tie in to your money or life type of ratings as well. Because if it has I eat, they give you more. It gives you more authority in what you're writing. That said, don't put the wrong stuff up. You got to make sure you're always correct. And here's one thing that mentions legal advice in particular. So I just wanted to pull that part out. All right. No big deal here, other than your content needs to be of high quality. All right. And then we'll talk about what that means in just a moment. If you want to read the Google Quality Ratings Guidelines, you can just search that in Google and you'll pull up as a PDF file, or you could go to j.st/GS and you can get it there as well. So if you just want to download it now or later, there it's I know a lot of people like to have a copy of that. All right. So what do we mean, though, by high quality original legal content? We need a systematic way to approach this. So let's sort of walk through this part. First, by high quality, it needs to be correct on the law. Number one thing, right? You cannot have the law wrong. And tax laws change, the estate planning laws change, bankruptcy laws have changed. Maybe every once in a while you'll have different, medical malpractice things will change under COVID, in terms of what you can sue and who you can't sometimes. You've got to be up to date, and this needs to be correct. You can't not allow your content to become stale and old. And if it is old, you at least better have a date on it. So like an old blog post, but ideally, even an old blog post, you update your old blog post, say the current state law is this, or this law was current as of this date, is no longer applies, and link to where the current state of law is. Especially for, tax, some of the business stuff, some of the estate types items. Needs to be well written, spelling, grammar checked. All right, use Grammarly, use the spell grammar checker. All right, don't have misspelled words. Get basics. Grammar should be there. Right, just use one of these tools. I mean, I'm a math major, computer science guy, even though I'm a lawyer. But I use Grammarly. It helps with writing emails. Right. It has to be pretty easy to read. So try to have some headings in there. Try to break up the page a little bit. That's for usability of the page. I'm not trying to, add H2s for SEO. I'm just trying to make it readable. Add some headings. Don't worry about the SEO part. We worry about the SEO part for the page name, not for these other parts of the page. Not nearly that important. But try to break it up with some headings just so it's readable. All right? So at a core level. I like to say write 500 to 650 plus words. So first of all, 500 is not an absolute minimum. The Google has not said you have to write 500. In fact, I think Google had a course that said it was 300, and even that's not true. But if you write 500 words, you got a couple things. One, you're probably going to write better content because you're writing 500 words. You just have to write more. You tend to spend a little more time on. You write 200 words, it tends to be a lot worse quality. The other part is you tend to write stuff that's more unique than what other people write, which I'll be coming on to in a second with the original part. So that part's helpful. Well, let me come back to, I'll come back to when I talk to the original part. Writing up to 650 words, there has been sort of different documentation of just writing more content on an area up to 650 words actually will increase your rankings for particular terms outside of any other reasons that you might rank higher because you have more words on the page. You're more likely to get different cross-link terms, obviously, things like that. But just by writing 650, you actually will rank higher. So up to 650, over that, you might want to split up the pages, or you might want a longer page just to get more sort of random collisions of terms. But I'm going to go to the 500 thing right now because I do think I want to really make that point. First thing, don't copy large parts of content, right? We've had clients in the past that copied Wikipedia. Not helpful, right? Clients that just copied these statutes. Oh, I put up the statutes from, Nevada. How's that working out? Well, they're going to rank Nevada, or they're going to rank Justia or FindLaw or other people that have the statutes online. It's not good. It's not good. So don't copy big chunks of content. Doesn't mean you can't copy some, but don't copy a lot. Check it on Copyscape. That's just to check for exact dupes, right? If you have a lot of exact dupes, that's a problem. And if you are going to copy, try to keep a 2-to-1 ratio. Try to keep more unique content than dupe content, and especially try to keep your unique content in the first 200 words. All right. Now, here's the one thing I want to say about the 500 words. Another reason I sort of like it. When Google's doing searches, right, they're trying to find different pages that have certain high quality stuff and uniqueness, right? They don't want, for example, you have probably 800 pages that talk about what to do after a car accident. All right, make sure everyone's safe, take pictures, get a police accident report, basic stuff. A lot of people write the same thing. If you write a little bit extra, you'll distinguish yourself from other people that have written less. And a lot more people write less than people that write more. So by writing 500 words, you actually make your site, even if you're covering the same stuff the guy wrote with 200 words, you have another 300 words of more unique content that you can add in there. So it makes your page more unique. And then they're more likely to show up because they don't want to show the same exact basic concepts over and over again. So that's one reason to write 500 words. If you need to write more, add a hypothetical in, add a story in. It's not a big deal. If you write less sometimes, also not a big deal. But if you're the people that have done the best have always tried to write 500 words of content. So if you want to do the best, shoot for that. Make the content legal. All right. So write about your law and legal services, but add some legal analysis. So here's something which I know a lot of people say, just write content aimed at the end user, right? Just do that. Don't do that. Write some real legal analysis to lawyers as well. Go into detail. Put the consumer stuff up front, but put some real legal analysis somewhere within the page so you can sort of show your expertise. For those overall search terms, being searched by everybody, searched by lawyers, consumers, everyone else, you have the stuff for consumers up front. You still have the legal analysis. It makes you more of an expert. It makes your page more different than all the other pages showing up, gives you another chance, another opportunity to be a page that Google wants to rank higher. So add some real legal analysis to it. It's extremely helpful in terms of rankings. Yeah. Always make sure that you're writing stuff that's ethical. Right? There's different rules. I'll leave that to folks. I shouldn't have to say that, but it periodically occurs. All right. That's the core stuff in terms of what we need to focus on. We got localities, practice, lawyer, attorney, words. We got to do high quality original content. We're going to shoot for 500, ideally 650 for most pages. Now I'm actually going to walk through the different web pages, right? I'm just going to walk through them. I have slightly different rules for different ones, and I'm also going to give a little more technical stuff here. First, the homepage. The big difference with the homepage versus the other ones is I want you to write more words. This is your most important page. This is the one that's going to link to the most. This is one that's going to rank probably for your core term. Also probably rank for your law firm name. So I would try to write at least 1,000 words, ideally up to 1,500. Just write a bit more, right? Than you would on like a practice area page or another page. Not super difficult. All the rules, the same as before. What should you put on the page? Well, this is what I recommend to our folks, and I'll recommend it to everyone here as well. Obviously, content about law and legal services. I know we put a header. I like to have a photo at the top. It's not a necessity, but I like a photo of the lawyer or of members of the firm. I like to show the awards and badges, maybe some verdicts, results, right? Those are the things I tend to like to show up at the top. Page isn't just about SEO content. You also want to convert people when they come there. People like to see pictures of other folks. They like to see badges and awards, right? It's just simple. A lot of people aren't even read your page. They're going to say, oh, the guy's looks like a nice guy. He has badges. All right, I'm going to call this guy, right? Not everyone's reading your full page. In fact, very few people are. So add that at the top. That's marketing. Put in text. The first part of your text for your homepage, and realistically for most of your pages, should be about why you're great. All right. Work some keywords in there, but your initial text should be why you're a good lawyer, why someone should hire you. That should be the beginning part. That should be for your homepage. That should be the beginning part of your practice area page for car accidents, your practice area page for, brand larceny defense, whatever it is, H-1B visas, doesn't matter. Initially, try to get at least a sense or two of why you're a great lawyer. And you have to modify a little bit. Don't be the same on every page, but, get that part in. Then I like to have, maybe a couple other paragraphs about the firm and then go into practice area paragraphs. That means a little paragraph on each of your core practice areas, which I'll show you an example here in a second. Then maybe add some icons or a list of your different practice areas. Just sort of have them featured in a separate section, so it breaks up the site. Sometimes you might want to add like pictures of different attorneys, sort of little, strip of attorneys. You might, if you blog, put your recent blog post up there. It's a little more freshness update to your homepage. Media mentions, testimonials. It's always nice to have a testimonial on pages, right? People see testimonials, it increases your conversion rate. And in the footer, add some additional information. I also like to get some additional locality information for secondary locations in the footer. So just walk through his page. Here it is. You see it has a little learn more button. You can click on that and it expands. That is fine not to show all your content right away now. There was a period of time where Google felt if you did learn more, you sort of hid the content before they clicked on that. They discount out that content. Not true anymore. With mobile, this is always the way things work. They've changed their focus there. So you can actually have a learn more and then expand the page out. So here he has a little bit about why he's a great lawyer. And he has some more information about his firm, about himself. And then we start going into the practice area page: criminal defense, DUI, domestic violence, drug crimes, sex crimes, theft, gun crimes, motor vehicle, expungements. When it goes through all these different areas. The other part about it's nice about having all these different practice groups on his homepage is that remember the Google My Business profile where it said mention truck accidents, mention gun crimes here, mention drug crimes. So it's easy for Google to find because it's on the page that you're linked to on your Google business profile. So make it easy. And also an easy way to add more content. So now you can get to your 1,000 words without having to worry too much. Just write a paragraph on each of your areas. If you don't have a page on the area, still write a paragraph about it if you're actually going to serve that, you provide that type of service. So maybe you have basic, green cards, visas, and the deportation defense, but you don't have anything about family visas or work visas separately. You could still break those out on your homepage. That part's fun. Then we come down here. He has some, additional pages that he links to here. It sort of features some of this different practice stuff. Here's some media icons there he's been in, and sort of a client review. He has some results down here as well, office locations. Contact us, and then way down here at the bottom, you'll see it says serving the following localities. Again, I like to keep this on the bottom of pages. It's a little bit long tail. It's repetitive. Google's going to discount it out because it's on every page. It doesn't not get quite the same value of having these words if it was in your content. But I'm not going to write a separate page for every single small city. It's just too hard to do. So this sort of solves that issue. So that part works out quite well. Page name. For me, most of the time, I'd like to take the location, the practice term lawyer, Boston criminal lawyer, or Boston, in this case, showing Steve Mimas, Boston criminal defense attorney, right? Whatever the words I want to use. It doesn't, I might add my own name to it. I might make it a little bit longer, but I try to get something simple. I try to figure out what's my core practice area, what I want to rank for. And then I tend to put that up into the title tag. In most cases, I like the word lawyer better than attorney because it has the word law in it, but sometimes business, antitrust, the word attorney is a little bit better. Title tag, I take to go location, the main core practice, the word lawyer. That's my first one that matches up with what's on my homepage. That's my overall H1, my page name. I then use location 2, practice 2, attorney, and at the very end, I'll put firm name. Right? I always like to keep the firm name. Some people, if it's too long, they don't want it. On the homepage, I think you should put it up there. So I would certainly have it on the homepage. Well, other pages, you might not want to have it on. Again, 1,000, 1,500 words of text. Try to work your core key term every 150 to 250 words in the text. All right. Remember that. Can be variations of it, but try to work it into the text. Don't just have it up at the top and nowhere else. You're talking about drug crimes and sex crimes. Try to work it a little bit into these other sections as well. At least, every other paragraph or so. Try to work a permutation of it. So again, not too difficult to do. Do try to get, one other thing I want to mention, do try to get your key terms in the first paragraph at least once, whatever your core term is or a variation of it. Google tends to classify a document, a page, by what's in the top few paragraphs. First paragraph's worth more than the second paragraph's worth more than the third. By the time you get to the 10th paragraph, not nearly as important. You just start working for a little bit of keyword density there at that point. But the first few paragraphs actually is going to help Google classify the page. So try to work it up towards the top. Do not copy your text from your homepage into directories. Don't take this and then put it into Yext and get distributed on all these business directories. Not helpful. A lot of people do that. They need text for their law firm profile and on a directory, and they just copy what's on the homepage. Or they sign up for a service, and that service then does that for them. So don't allow that to happen. Check your homepage on Copyscape to make sure other people haven't done that. But you don't want other people. You don't want to get your homepage having a duplicate content issue. It's ridiculous. So make sure you're not putting it other places. And here's just a couple examples here. So this is for Boston Criminal Lawyer. Just so you have an idea, these guys are all doing pretty well. And of course, it's Justia. There's another one of our clients with an internal page. Most of the time for basic terms, home pages will rank the best. Most of the time. Sometimes internal pages do, but most of the time it's a home page. A little extra for the basic term. And here's another example here that I want to quickly show you of those three. This is not an SEO play, but it's a conversion play. So for me, there's a thing called the meta description. It doesn't actually show on the page, but it's sort of additional text you can put in there. Most of your web providers can help you with it. If I do free consultations, I like to put the word free consultation as the beginning part of my meta description and maybe a local phone number. And the reason I do that is it helps on conversions. Most of the people that visit your website will be looking for information, but some people will be looking to hire you. And if they see free consultation, they're more likely to click on your link. And I'll tell you, the most valuable people to you are the ones that might hire you. So add free consultation here. It's not a pure SEO play, but it's a great conversion play for folks that are looking for a legal service. So add that part in there. And there's a couple examples. So you can see Steve Nyman also is available 24/7. Just a little more marketing. Meta descriptions are for marketing. Free consultation, nothing more powerful than using that word. And here's just a different search, slightly different, Boston Criminal Defense Lawyer, just so you can see different searches give different results. And this one, Steve's first, but that's also because he's focused on Boston Criminal Defense Attorneys, his core term. All right. Homepage, most important one. Make that the longest one, your longest page. All the things about the keyword density, the little free consultation stuff, do all that. It's not hard. You're going to end up writing a lot of paragraphs about your services. That's really what you're going to end up doing here. And then going through after you write that, adding in some different keyword density, figuring out what your key term is not too difficult. But that's the most important page. Second most important page is your attorney profile. Here's an example of Jim Butler's. Big difference here is you don't have to write as much text. 200 to 500 words is fine because you're going to be adding a bunch of additional content onto the page. Your credentials and things like that. I like for the page name, the attorney name, I like the title tag to start off with the attorney name, then have the location, the practice of the lawyer. The lawyer does a lot of different practices, location of the lawyer, and then list out the practices that they do, practicing. And then I like to put the first name at the end. Not a necessity. I still think it's somewhat helpful. And I like for my URL to have the first name - last name of the lawyer. All right. That's why I sort of like to have. Biography text, 200 to 500 characters, no big deal. Talk about why you like the law, why sort of what services you offer, why you're great. I personally like to start off, at least get in the first paragraph, my name again, right? I just like to get, this case, Jim Butler. The first paragraph starts off with Jim Butler. That's where I see it there. And then add more stuff. You always should have your practice areas, your jurisdictions, your license, and education. You've got to have those 3 items. That's going to tie into your EAT as well, which is, from the expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness of your website and of your lawyers. So you got to have those 3 in. no matter what. But then I would add awards or professional associations, if you have videos, those good. Languages, work history, publications, speaking events, media mentions. Basically, all the stuff that Justia, Avo, FindLaw, Super Lawyers, all these guys do on their directories, you should put into your profile, right? You should do that. And then the final thing, don't copy your bio stuff onto these other directories. You want to rank for your name, at least for your name and the word lawyer, or your name, depending on how competitive it is. If you copy this and you put it on Justia and you put it on Avo and FindLaw, they're going to rank. We got strong sites. You don't want them beating you for your name, especially when they're in location. So don't do that part. If they've already done it, again, a lot of the times services will do this. They'll just grab the stuff off. Oh, we're helping you set up a profile. We grabbed it off your attorney profile on your site. Then go rewrite what you wrote. If it's too hard to get changed there, just rewrite it. Make sure, run it through Copyscape, but double check your profiles. This happens a lot more than a whole lot. And here's an example. This is Jim Butler, lawyer. Now I tried Jim Butler, but there's like Jimmy Butler plays for Miami Heat. Everybody knows that's to be the number one Jim Butler. But here's Jim Butler, lawyer. And you can see he's first here. He even has a sidebar. I don't always recommend Google Business Profiles for individuals, but sometimes you can have it if you want. I'm searching for California. If I was in a different city or state, I might get different answers here. So I'm not saying that Jim Butler is always going to be first because these results are localized. But for me, in California, he's first, which is good. You want to at least be first for your name with the word lawyer or attorney in your city. At least for that. So anyways, this is Jim Butler, lawyer. And look, that's a lot of control of that page he has. And then there's the Justia lawyer directory. There's some other lawyers there. There's his LinkedIn profile. His website profile should be first. All right, I'll run through two more items here. Practice areas. This is your bread and butter. What I said about high quality original legal content. This is the generic items that apply. 500, 650 words. I like to use either my H1 tag, either the practice itself or location practice lawyer. So sometimes I might, Maryland car accident lawyer. Sometimes I might say car accidents. Depends. This is something you could work through with your developer, your SEO folks. And then depending on what I did there, I'll either do practice, but location practice 2 lawyer, and then the firm name. I like the firm names. Some people, they feel it's too long. I don't worry about being too long too much, unless it's like 250 characters, then I might cut it off. But for the most part, I don't mind. I like to add the firm name to my title text, but you don't have to. But I like practice, location, practice 2 lawyer. And then if I use the full words in my name on my page, then I'll repeat that in my title tag. And then I'll put a second one in location 2, practice 2 attorney. And then I'll put, again, I like the firm names at the end. And I like the domain.com. I like just the practice as the words in my URL for the page. Same thing. There's nothing new here. You want to especially get your keywords into the first couple paragraphs. You use it as your H1, as your page name. Get in the first couple paragraphs that way. I think your first few paragraphs should talk about why you're great. You might want to just start talking about the practice, but I would always put a sentence or two about why I'm great. Not everybody does that, but I would try to get some headings in there as well. They don't have to have keywords in it just for readability. If you're writing 500 words, you probably need a heading or two, as well as just the page name. It's a little bit monotonous otherwise. And again, use permutations of the words. Don't feel the need to use the exact same term all the time. Car accident, auto crash, Google see it the same. Don't worry about it. So this sort of the key. Practice areas are your bread and butter. Blog posts and other pages. Go pretty quick through this part. So these pages, I'm not quite worried about as much. They don't tend to be for SEO. I'm not saying they don't sometimes rank, but they're not quite as big of a deal. You might have a testimonial page. You might have different blog posts. Sometimes they can be shorter if they're focused on a particular topic. No big deal. I wouldn't have a lot of short posts though. If I had like a bunch of really 100, 200 word posts on my blog, I might be a little bit concerned, especially if my blog was a subfolder blog, that the low quality content might actually impact my whole site. So I might watch out for that a little bit. But for the most part, you could write about your topic. You could do the same sort of SEO you do, figure out what your term is, work into your name of your post and name of your page, and then sort of work it into the text. There's nothing super fancy about it. One thing about blogs, if it's an internal blog, and you put it internally because you want to get links to your blog as another set of links, make sure your posts are good. One of the problems with internal blogs is that the people that tend to do it are doing it for SEO. not just for writing as an article section on their site, and they write really crappy blog posts. And I've seen many times where people said, hey, you've got to take our external blog, bring it internally. And we bring it in, and the external blog had blog posts that were not good, and it ended up harming their entire website. So you got to be aware of that. So make sure your blog posts are high quality. The second thing you should be aware of is if you write blog posts, you've got to make sure that you're somehow dealing with the fact the laws change and blog posts tend to have dates on it. So I would encourage you to go through your blog and update it to say, hey, the laws have changed here. Go read this other page, or actually change it on the blog post itself and say last updated and change the date. Change the date of the post. Most of the time for blog posts, I do not like to put the dates into the URLs because that way I can change the dates later if I want to update the post. If you put the dates in URLs, it gets harder to change it, or at least the URL always looks like an old URL. And the last thing I mentioned about blogs, especially on internal blogs, is they do compete with your practice area pages. So you need to think that if you write a car accident page, even our car accident page on your blog, those are issues that pop up. So think that part through. All right. That is basically the webinar. I know we went a little bit over. The next one will be on citations and links. And I know people are excited about that. That is one of the things they always get very excited about. So we will go through that both within your site, outside the site, as well as a couple of suggestions for content centers you can do that can actually get you links. So I always bring up a few of those. And then the third one will be on technical SEO, where we'll go into a lot more detail about your website setup and different aspects of it, some of which you can do, some of which you'll actually have to have your web developer do. But it'll also be, and also some tools and things you can sort of see how your technical SEO is. So we'll be going through there. So with that, I will hand it back to Nina, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim, for the wonderful presentation. We will now move into the Q&A portion. So if you have a question for Tim, you can go ahead and click that Q&A button at the bottom of your control panel. I will be reading the questions, and then Tim will be answering them. I think we already have a few here, so we can go ahead and get started. Our first question is going to be, how many pages of content should a law firm website have?
Well, first, I would rather have good content than bad content. So let me be clear on that. I would try to write at least one page for each type of case I wanted to get. So if I did child custody and child support and divorce, I'd write about that. If I want to write more pages, I think that's fine. You will get more long tail searches as long as you can make the pages unique. But you really got to make the pages unique. One of the things I see, and I'd much rather have fewer pages than more. I want to be clear, they're high quality. What I see a lot of times, so when people write lots of pages, is they start writing these locality pages. It's almost like they're doing Mad Libs. And they write a page for Mountain View, and they write a page for Sunnyvale, and then they write a page for San Jose. It's basically the same page. Even if they run it through Copyscape and slightly adjust the words, it feels like it's the same page. You read it, it's not really that different. So if you're going to write pages like that, you're just trying to write more pages, you're hitting this locality, make sure that you're always adding some uniqueness to your page, especially among other pages on your website. So the page needs to at least be unique within your website, and the easiest way to do that is to bring localized information in. So bring in something which, most dangerous intersections in Mountain View, how to get an accident report from the Mountain View police, different items like that. They can now actually allow you to localize that content that makes it different than Sunnyvale. So that actually you don't have two car accident pages that are more or less exactly the same, even if you slightly change some words. So fewer pages is fine. I've seen sites rank well with 5 pages. I've seen sites rank well with, 5,000 pages. So it's what you want cases in.
Our next question is going to be, should I focus more on pages for my website or blog, or does it matter?
Normally I like to focus on website pages first before I go onto the blog. So I try to get at least my practice pages. Well, first, your homepage, make sure that's longer now. Hopefully, a lot of you all will have listened to this webinar and start adding little practice paragraphs to your homepage, and do your attorney profiles, which I will say, my guess is probably 50% of the people here have attorney profiles that are bad or have duplicate content. I'm just based on numbers. But normally I would do the practice area pages first, and then I would do the blog posts. If I am doing a blog post though, I try to post once a month. If I'm submitting my blog out to directories and I want to stay in these directories, post at least once a month. The other thing with the blog, it never helps you to have your last blog post being 2015. All right. It looks bad. All right. So if you are going to blog, try to blog at least once in a while. So I would say that part, but normally the website's more important than the blog in terms of pages.
Okay, our next one is related to duplicate content. In avoiding duplicative text around the web, should we write different attorney biographies for every directory where we have a profile, or is it okay to have the same 2 to 3 paragraphs on all of them?
So the most important thing is that on your profile of your website, that's unique, right? I mean, are you really worried whether FindLaw and Justia and Avo have the same text? Maybe, but doesn't, probably, well, you'll let them fight it out for that part. That said, if you're trying to do reputation management, you want to control your name on the Google search results. And that's a big part of what you're trying to do. Then you will want unique text because, Google will they'll say, well, Avo and Justia basically the same text. We're going to throw one out. We'll put the other one in for the name search. So if you're trying to do any sort of reputation management where you're trying to control all the different listings, LinkedIn as well. If you have a Twitter account, personal Twitter one, you want to update the text there. Facebook, if you have a Facebook one that's indexable by Google, those social media ones as well. And the ones that tend to rank well, Justia, FindLaw, Avo, Super Lawyers if you have it, MartindaleHubbleLawyers.com. So you'll need to really sort of work on that and just write unique text. I think the other item, a little bit, something that people don't think about quite as much, but if you're doing business directories and you're using Yext, they're going to take the same text and push it out to all of them. So if you really want to have different text on these business directories for your law firm as opposed to your individual profile, you probably want to sign up for a service like WhiteSpark that actually will log in, claim the individual directories for you, and then you log in, you make unique text there. But again, that depends whether you're worried about reputation management or if you're just trying to get your address in there to help you with your Google business profile where having the same text is not really going to hurt you at all on that.
Our next one is, how does a blog post compete with the practice area page, and how do I manage that?
It competes if it's on the same core domain. So this is really a competition when it's on a subfolder. Sometimes when it's on a competition on a subdomain. If I had blog.lawfirm.com, the subfolder ones compete the most. And what happens is people do a blog post and it gets submitted. Normally these blog directories will grab the latest post, grab RSS feeds from the latest post and put additional links into it. So this individual blog post will start getting more links than your practice area page will. And that can become a problem. You like people to go to your marketing page, not necessarily to what, if you wrote a post about, some car accident, talk about the different liability, potential liable parties or something, which, a little legal analysis, but still it's not as good as your marketing page. The ways to control that is to play with the title of your blog post, make sure it doesn't compete. Like, don't necessarily put the same locality terms in, do something to sort of push, try to maybe push some of the other keywords like car accident lower, longer towards the end of the title of the blog post. And don't do quite as much keyword density and redoing the terms. Don't try to SEO it as much, and that'll be helpful. To me, most of the time, blogs to show your expertise and sort of get people to notice your legal analysis. That is the highest value for you. You might get some clients from blog posts, maybe on product liability, mass tort type stuff, but you don't tend to get it quite as much as you would, not nearly as much as you would from your core practice pages.
Okay, I think the last question we have time for today is going to be, if we do have a blog, how often should we add new posts?
I would try to blog at least once a month, because if you don't do that, some of the blog directories will remove you. That's a base level, not hard to do. Otherwise, ideally once a week, twice a week, if you have time to write it. But I would rather add more content to my website than just do that much extra blogging. So you have to sort of be a judge of what you're doing. If you're following stories or something that you really sort of tracking, you want to blog more often, that part's fine. But it's, or if you're a professor, you're tying into certain academic stuff, or you're sort of with a group of bloggers and you're all sort of going back and forth on different topics. But that's a reputational type of play among attorneys or among professors. That's not the same thing as doing stuff to reach out to the main client, the core clients, which aren't necessarily going to read blog posts as much, or they'll see it and then, it'll be in their mind for like a week before they move on to their next thought. That's probably the way to think of it.
That is all we have time for today. So thank you for all of your questions, and thank you, Tim, for answering all of our participant questions. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos on law practice and legal marketing. See you in our next video.